Good evening and welcome to the regular City Council meeting for the City of St. Peter. It's Monday, November 13th, 2023 at 7 p.m. We are now called to order. Would all please rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You should all have received a copy of the agenda. Are there any revisions or corrections? Hearing nothing, is there a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approval of the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Next up are the minutes. The minutes are printed on pages 5 through 8 of the packet. Are there any revisions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as distributed?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Next up on the agenda, we have time for visitor comments. Are there any members of the audience who'd like to address the council on any agenda item? Hearing none, we have time on an agenda item?
Minda?
That will come up next. We have time on our agenda for general visitor comments. That is a time for members of the audience to address the council on any matter whatsoever. Is there any member who'd like to address the council at this time? All right, come on forward.
Visitor comments, correct?
Yes. So if you'll just state your name and your address for the record, you'll have 5 minutes at about, if you're going long, I'll give you a wave at about minute number 4 so you can,
All right.
so you can
So
wrap
I can
up.
wrap it up.
Yes.
Wrap it up. All right. My name is Mark Plotz. I live at 1009 Weddergren Street, and I own a business at 115 South Minnesota Avenue. Longtime follower, first-time speaker at the council, so I'm happy to be here. Before I begin with my precious 5 minutes, I'm going to take some of my time to thank you, Emily, for your, I'd say, courageous advocacy for vulnerable road users, walkers, bicyclists, and complete streets. So really appreciate that. Gonna miss you, and I hope to work with you after you leave office. So thank you. You've all received a copy of my written statement. I'm going to read some of that into the record. I'm not going to get through it, so I'll wrap it up when the time comes. So I'll begin now. I'm here tonight to talk about MnDOT's recent changes to our traffic signals on Trunk Highway 169. I learned of them in probably the same way that many of you did, through social media, and then KYC, and then the free press. To me, and hopefully you agree, that indicates a problem with our MnDOT relationship. The signalization changes which went into effect today promise to move vehicles through our city even more efficiently. Though the details of the actual changes are scant, one can surmise that this is a continuation of the changes that MnDOT implemented in 2019, where they implemented a green wave in our downtown with our 3 traffic signals. That means now all 5 of our traffic signals will be synchronized and optimized for throughput of vehicles. An additional feature of this type of signalization is the use of Q sensors, which watch cross streets and do not trigger the green until enough vehicles back up. Since 2009, when Trunk Highway 169 was reconstructed, every operational change that MnDOT has made to our road has been for the sole purpose of moving vehicles through our town more quickly. To review, in 2017, the speed limit on the north side was increased to 40 miles an hour. In 2019, MnDOT implemented the green wave on 3 traffic signals in downtown. In 2023, we had Highway 22 South, the intersection reconstructed, and now we have our signal timing. We also have to look forward to the median project on the north side from Broadway to Union Street. The speed limit is not changing with that project. Let there be no doubt in this room that when MnDOT does something to our road, its sole purpose is to take care of the people who spend 4 minutes in our city and not paying attention to the needs of the people who live along the road or whose businesses line the road who are trying to make a living. Why is this a problem? I don't think any of you operate retail businesses, but it should be self-evident that the goal of moving cars past my front door as quickly as possible is not a strategy for my economic success. But whatever, I can take care of myself, and if I figure out that I can't make money in St. Peter, I will go to somewhere where I can. But the real problem is the expectation amongst drivers that is created by these operational changes, that they don't have to stop, slow down, or yield as they pass through our town. This is already a reality, and let me share a quick story, and I'm probably coming up on my time. Saturday after the art stroll, I leave my bike shop. I put on my helmet, I turn on my tail light, I go through the alley, I go over to Nassau, where I wait. The light was red when I got there, and I have my bike computer timing. So I can tell you exactly how long it took for me to cross the street. It took about 5 minutes. During that time, I watched the traffic signals at Broadway and Mulberry cycle through twice. And there are moments where there was no one on 169. I could have gone. Finally, I do get the green. And I start to proceed slowly because I see the cars on the northbound side coming at me. And there is no guarantee that just because the light is red for them that they're going to stop. Both lanes did, and by the way, I'm pulling my trailer, my kid trailer, behind my bicycle, and I'm fully lit up. I get to the median, and I see a vehicle approaching on the southbound side, not slowing down. I stop. I give verbal warning. She blew through the red light with probably about 10 seconds of red. I was shocked. I complete my journey across the intersection, heart thumping, grateful that I have the training to recognize what almost happened. I go over to have a chat with this driver, looking at her phone the whole time, trying to avoid eye contact because she knows I'm there. I wait a minute. Finally, she looks up and we share a glance. No gestures, no words, nothing like that. We just kind of both nod at the gravity of what almost happened. So the bottom line there is that it seems like this is not just a problem. And oh, by the way, the punchline is that she had 2 Gustavus parking stickers on her car. So she was one of ours. So it's not just the people who are passing through our downtown that don't think of it as a place where they need to be looking for pedestrians instead of just being on the autopilot. It's even the people who live here. So with that, I believe I'm at my time limit, and I'll let the rest of my remarks speak for themselves. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Are there any other members who'd like to come speak? Yep, come on up. Same routine for you. Give
Right.
your name and address, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
Great. My name is Patty Conlon, and I live on 420 North Minnesota Avenue, St. Peter, Minnesota. I'm a business owner, a small business owner, and I live on 169, and I work on 169. Over the 17 and a half years that I've been here, it's gotten noisier and faster. I'm also a runner, slow runner, but a runner. Slow. and I have stories about how, trucks have almost hit me, and then they go. One guy went around the block and swore at me, and I was walking with the light when it said walk. I had minutes. People driving through St. Peter get very impatient and very cranky when they have to stop. I've been on 169, and I don't do it anymore. I only did it the first few years, trying to make a left onto Scarrow, and I'm waiting patiently for the traffic to come, and I see a semi truck come up behind me, and he's not stopping, and I think he's not stopping. And so I fly right in front of some other traffic so that he doesn't, make me history. St. Peter's a delightful little town. I love living here except for that. We can't sleep at night because of the truck traffic. Having the traffic be faster and the greenway more, they took a crosswalk out in front of my house because it wasn't safe to use. And they it went from 35 in front of my house to 40 miles. And when I called MnDOT, and I do it every now and then, just for fun, they told me, well, people were already going 40, so we didn't want to make them be illegal drivers. And I said, huh. But when it's posted at 40, they'll go 45. And they don't stop. You can't cross in front of my house to the other side of 169 without taking your life in your hand. There is a controlled intersection at Dairy Queen, and you have to be an idiot to cross there. I mean, I can run across. You can stop, but if you're anybody who's walking or or has a child with them, you're just not going to be able to make it. I have called MnDOT a few times. They're remarkably polite and even charming. But one gentleman did tell me their purpose, and I don't know, how much truth is in this statement, but I took him as a true statement. MnDOT's purpose was to get traffic from the cities to the Iowa border as fast, as quickly, and efficiently as they possibly can, which doesn't say anything at all about the cities along 169. And my particular favorite is St. Peter. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other members of the audience? Yes, please come up. You know the routine now?
My name is Dean Pirtle. I live at 1507 Winona Street. My wife and I moved to town approximately a year ago, and one of the things I was very delighted about was that I found out Mark had a bike shop in town here. I'm a cyclist. That was something really important to me, so I hope he does not leave town. But anyway, I drive from Mankato to St. Peter quite a bit, and back and forth, I should say. And people do not drive the speed limit. And my biggest question is who's responsible for enforcement of the speed limit? Because the 30-mile-an-hour sign as you approach the courthouse from the south is very not visible, I will say. But regardless of that, people aren't driving 35, which is posted prior to that. And so I'm curious, who is responsible for enforcement of the speed limit within St. Peter's city limits? Is that state troopers? Is it the city of St. Peter? And why do I never see any enforcement along there? Because just like they've said, I think we can all agree as residents here that people are not driving the speed limit on 169 that they should be, and it does not make for an enjoyable experience walking downtown at all. And I think St. Peter would benefit from less traffic, certainly less high-speed traffic. But I'm just find it remarkable that there's never any enforcement of the speed laws as you drive 169. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. We're happy here in St. Peter, but I think it could be better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you and welcome to town.
Sorry, I'm taking some notes. Is there anybody else who'd like to address the council? Well, thanks everybody for your time tonight. We always appreciate hearing from residents. We are going to move on at this time to the next agenda item, which is the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda begins with the memo on page 9 and concludes with the resolution that's on page 32 of the packet. The resolution includes the following employee appointments at the wage indicated: Curtis Thompson, Water Resources Superintendent; Jacob Burbach, Forester, and the schedule of disbursements for October 19th, 2023 through November 8th, 2023. Is there any discussion about any item on the consent agenda? Hearing no discussion, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bluefett.
Aye.
Councilmember Sherrison.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved. We have no items of unfinished business today. Our first item of new business is the adoption of a resolution canvassing results of the 2023 general election.
Mayor and members, as you know, this is part of the process that's required under state statute. You're required to take some action before November 17th. The resolution that's on page 34 outlines in detail the votes from the various locations, including the wards, absentee ballots, and the totals. And it's appropriate, if you choose to meet the state statute requirement by November 17th, that you approve the resolution that's included in your packet, again on page 34.
All right, are there any questions about the memo or the resolution? I'll just take a moment to extend my sincere appreciation to all the candidates who ran for city council, for mayor, for school board elections. It's really important, and it's a wonderful reflection on St. Peter that we have such an engaged community and so many people who are willing to serve the place they live and participate in the democratic process. So also like to recognize one of our newly elected council members who will be joining us in January. Josh, thanks for stopping by tonight. If there are no further remarks, the resolution on page 34 of the packet will be canvassing the 2023 municipal election returns. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sherrison.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Councilmember Bluefett.
Aye.
The resolution is approved.
That's a wrap for you, Barb, on elections.
Oh, would that be true?
Next up is the adoption of a resolution authorizing orderly annexation of 361st Avenue through cooperative efforts with abutting townships. I love orderly as opposed to disorderly annexation. Ben, you can talk to us about that.
Thank you, Mayor Noel and members of the council. Yeah, this is a little different. This is an orderly annexation. Typically, we do annexations by ordinance. So in working with the state, we laid out on page 35 and 36, there was 4 different areas that needed to be annexed into the city, and they suggested that orderly annexation is the best way, especially we're dealing with 2 different townships. So the first one would be 361st Avenue. This is located between Broadway and Traverse Road. It's a 3/4 mile section just to the west of the high school and Community Spirit Park. So back in 2001, MnDOT awarded Oshawa Township, Traverse Township, $1.25 million, and that was to upgrade the gravel rural section to an urban section or paved with curb and gutter. And then in 2022 and 2023, the city of St. Peter actually took the lead, did the engineering and construction, and with these LRIP funds, was able to complete this project in late August of this year. So it was previously agreed that between the townships and the city, that the city would annex and maintain the new roadway and associated right-of-way once that project was completed. So that would be the number 1, 361st Avenue. Number 2 would be when city staff was reviewing the boundary maps, we actually found on Broadway Avenue that only half of it had been annexed, and the same thing with Traverse Road, County Road 51, which would be north, just north of this area, Community Spirit Park, and that would be south of Traverse Green Development. So there was a section that wasn't all annexed there as well. And then the 4th would be on page 36 there at the top, the newly acquired 22 acres from St. Peter School District to the city of St. Peter. And this was an area that was totally surrounded by city limits. And it's been the goal and talks over the last year that the city will be working with a partner to try to develop this into single-family housing in the near future. So it makes sense as we're annexing these areas to the south to bring this one in along with that. So with that, at their meeting on November 2nd, Planning and Zoning Commission did review the land use plan, the zoning ordinance, and recommended approval of bringing these 4 sections in with orderly annexation agreements. So tonight there's just one ordinance that would approve both joint resolutions. And that is on page 46.
Questions for Ben? All right, hearing no questions, the resolution approving orderly annexation joint resolutions with both Oshawa Township and Traverse Township is on page 46 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ram?
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Mayor Noel?
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos?
Aye.
Councilmember Bluefett?
Aye.
Councilmember Scherzer?
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Next up, adoption of a resolution adopting city name for township roadway previously identified as 361st Avenue.
Thank you, Mayor Noel and members of the council. So with the annexation of 361st Avenue, the city staff feels it's appropriate to consider renaming this to more of a city-type name. Currently, 361st Avenue would be a township, county type name that goes with their system as they go throughout the county for addressing in the 911 system. So we did reach out to the Nicollet County Historical Society, considering many of our names are based on historical figures in town. Bob Sandine from the NCHS board did do quite a bit of research on this, which is attached on 49, and the Planning Commission had quite a bit more information than that's in this packet, but there was quite a bit of research and information that was provided. And it was based on his research, being an archivist and knowing the topic, that he recommended naming the street as Magner Road, Magner Way, Magner Avenue, and he really didn't care how it ended, just as long as it had Magner in there. So if you look at page 50, there's a 1885 atlas that shows where the John Magner property was, just along 361st Avenue. And the dotted line is where the nowadays Broadway Avenue is. So you can see there was 120 acres, which is now Community Spirit Park, high school, the Gustavus athletic fields, and then where the Gustavus Prairie is in the Arboretum. And then there was 20 acres on the west side of 361st Avenue as well, all part of the Magner farm site. So with that and all the information that they reviewed on their at their meeting on November 2nd, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the transportation plan. They reviewed the Parks and Trails plan, along with a lot of other information provided by Bob Sandine and the Nicollet County Historical Society. And they decided to recommend approval of Magner Parkway. And how that was derived would be from the historical information, and then also as 361st or Magner would go north, it's proposed to go along a greenway all the way until it meets Highway 22. So there'll be stormwater ponds and a greenway park that goes along, so thus the name Parkway. So with that, it would be city staff's and the Planning Commission's recommendation to do the approval of the resolution, which would name 361st Avenue as Magner Parkway.
Questions? Brad?
Well, no question. Just some context from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Well, number one, I've sort of come to affectionately love 361st Avenue, but we probably haven't given it a name as that. We did ask some questions. My question was, is there anything that they would know from the family history that honestly would have us not want it named Magner Parkway, or well, named Magner or anything? And Bob Sandine did say he did think of that, and he did look for items to see if there would be something in the history of his family that that would dissuade us from it, particularly. And he said he couldn't find anything, and I'm comfortable with it. I come from a wife who, her mom's family has this road named after them up near Floodwood, Minnesota. Why? Because historically, they own the land. So the question was asked, Would there be any concerns based off of family history? And Bob Sandbean said he looked and he couldn't find anything, so.
Thank you, Brad. The history teacher in me was going to ask that exact question.
It was a really interesting, even if you're not inclined to read planning and zoning packets, although I read them all. There was a very interesting amount of information in there, and so worth looking at. Additional questions? Hearing no questions, resolution renaming 361st Avenue to Magner Parkway is on page 51 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat.
Aye.
Councilmember Sjöström.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Next up is the adoption of a resolution, thanks Ben, adoption of a resolution modifying the authorized staffing levels for the electric utility staff.
Mayor and members, Pete and I are tag teaming on this one, so if you have any more specific questions, this is an item that you've talked about previously. We've talked about it in relation to budget and organizational structure and the opportunity for there to be additional places for your employees to move and enter, the needs of your staff and your electric utility relative to having licensed or journeymen, some people use that terminology, linemen and apprentices moving up through the ranks. The resolution here, since it is customary here in St. Peter for the City Council to approve the staffing levels, the resolution here recommends or provides for an electric superintendent, which you have in place, an electric foreman, which you have not filled, and licensed linemen and or apprentices to the number of total of 7. And this would be a 1 position increase. The most dramatic impact of this from a financial standpoint is that as you are aware, we're looking to hire a electric foreman, and that's approximately the total cost for employment and benefits of an electric foreman. So the goal here is, and my intent is to have you, if you're willing, to approve the resolution that provides for this level of staffing within your electric utility.
Anything to add, Pete? We have discussed.
Just fine.
We've discussed it quite a bit. So, any questions for Todd or for Pete on this one? Carrie.
Just guess a comment in case anyone's watching. You know, adding a position is no small thing. We think about that, but also as the workforce needs evolve, we have to be proactive, and so this is a proactive move, and I appreciate all the work city staff have done to explain the need for this and then communicate to the council about why this is important, and so I certainly support it. But yeah, it's no small thing to add a completely new position into the budget, and we talked about that. But again, it's being proactive, and we understand why it's important, so thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Anything further? Hearing nothing, the resolution approving modifications to electric utility staffing levels is on page 53 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat.
Aye.
Councilmember Sjöström.
Aye.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Next up, adoption of a resolution authorizing submission of local road improvement program grant application. Pete.
Madam Mayor and City Council, as you're aware, we are undertaking an ICE study, an intersection control evaluation at the intersection of Broadway and Washington Avenue. Our goal there is to look for possible improvements to that intersection. Our ultimate goal would be is if there are improvements that are identified, we would want to be eligible for any grant funding that may come either in this cycle or the next cycle, whichever would occur. My request tonight is that you allow us to make application for grant funds. We would submit those in December. We'd probably hear back in March for a future time when we would do improvements. My request is that you approve the resolution authorizing staff to move forward.
Thank you, Pete. Any questions? Brad and then Emily.
So Pete, are these grant funds for any specific kind of work, or is it just a generic grant for work to be determined?
No, what we'll do is we'll put in a grant for 1.5 million, which is the most you can apply for. And then whatever the ICE study develops, there'll be follow-up questions from the committee that ask us what type of improvements have been identified. We're hoping that they'll coincide together and that we can come to a conclusion about them.
Okay, thank you.
Emily?
Yeah, I was gonna say, one, that I appreciate the initiative to apply for the grant funding, because obviously that's a great way to start the funding process. But I was gonna ask more along those lines of the timeline. Is it beneficial to have that ICE study done before the grant funding, or do you think that the timeline will work out okay doing it this way?
Right. We're trying to meet this deadline to put our application in right now, and then the findings will determine what dollar amount, if any, we qualify for.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that I just wanted to mention to clarify is that this is for a specific intersection, so it's just not for any
Correct.
intersections, it's for a specific intersection within St. Peter, which is Broadway and Washington.
Right.
Alrighty, further questions? Hearing nothing further, the resolution approving support for local road improvement program grant, LRIP, application for Broadway and Washington Avenue intersection is on page 56 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Hill,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Councilmember Rutherford,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston,
Aye.
Councilmember Ram,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
The resolution is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Next up, we have adoption of 3 resolutions calling for public hearing and preparation of asset rolls for unpaid utility bills. And Sally's here to talk to us about that.
We're all here tonight. So, Mayor Noel and City Council, we are here tonight asking for the approval of a resolution for the city to prepare assessments for delinquent utility accounts as of May 31st, 2023. The memo is on pages 57 through 58. The timeline of events is on page 59, and the list, or 58, and the accounts that are past due are on pages 59. Total amount past due as of May 31st, 2023 is $6,541.11, of which $3,155.71 is accessible to property owners. The remainder are not accessible. It is electricity for tenants of rentals and balances below $10, bankruptcies, or death. We are asking you to approve the resolution to prepare assessments for past due utility accounts is on page 61. We'll do that first, if you have any questions.
It seemed like there was a remarkable reduction in the number of delinquent accounts since 2008, and what would you attribute that to?
It ebbs and flows depending upon what's going on, and I think even in 21 and 22, there was quite a bit of assistance available through COVID dollars, that a lot of people were helped. It wasn't just electric, water, and wastewater are also being paid for by county, MVAC, and some others. So I think that's what's attributed to most of the downturn in the last couple of years. This year, funds are a lot tighter. MVAC just got funds as of November 1st, and it is just for heating and electric. So we could see these numbers increase. But I also think the staff, we work hard and try and work with our past due accounts and set up payment arrangements and work with them to try and get that and get our customers paid.
And so if people are having problems, they really shouldn't avoid you.
Correct.
They should come in and talk to you, because we can help and maybe connect with resources.
Yeah, and we
on
send out the
sometimes.
notices as we send out delinquent accounts. We say, here are your, you can contact MVAC, here's the phone number, Salvation Army, Heat Share, and the county, and we give them those numbers. We work with them on payment arrangements, and we do disconnects, and then right now we're on limiting meters because of cold weather rules. So we do have people coming in, not real happy at this time of the year, or even in the summer when we do full disconnects, but we work with them to the best that we can to get those paid.
Thanks,
And
Sally.
try and help them.
Carrie.
I was wondering about the total amount having been reduced, and if there's any, if it's attributed to at all the change in payment method too, as more people are doing auto pay, or might that not be a
I don't know if
factor?
it's so much that. I think it's more, and I really do think it's more that, you know, for, you know, with COVID, the water and wastewater and stormwater being able to be paid with those dollars really did help a lot of people dig out of the hole. And there's quite a few that are staying out of the hole now that they've gotten that paid off. Because if you actually look at your utility bill, your electricity is maybe a third of it, and all the other things, the water, the wastewater, stormwater, and garbage, you know, that didn't help them a lot in other years. So I think they were helped out quite a bit that way.
Thank you.
And additional questions? All right, the first resolution we are considering is on page 61 of the packet, and that is a resolution declaring unpaid charges for municipal utilities to be assessed and ordering preparation of proposed assessment. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bluefett,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
That resolution is approved. Is there anything you want to share before we consider the
No,
next one?
just that we're going to be calling for a public hearing at your next council meeting on November 27th. We will be putting notice in the Herald for 2 weeks per our assessment, and we will also be sending letters out to the past due customers.
All right, questions for Sally? Hearing nothing, the resolution calling for a public hearing declaring unpaid charges for municipal utilities to be assessed is on page 62 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. To call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sharpston,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramp,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Councilmember Bluefett.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. We are moving on to our next agenda item. Oh, is this still under our, got a lot of
It's a new
resolutions in a row.
agenda item.
This
It's-
one is unpaid miscellaneous charges.
Miscellaneous.
Okay, yes, thank you. Got a lot of resolutions in pretty short order. Adoption of resolutions calling for a public hearing and preparation of assessment rolls for unpaid miscellaneous charges. Sally.
Mayor Noel and City Council, as we are here to ask for a resolution to prepare assessments for miscellaneous project and miscellaneous charges. The memo begins on page 63. The assessments are for non-right-of-way work done on Park Row and some private sewer lines and driveway aprons. We do have waivers signed for all the work that has been complete on these. And then on top of that, we will add the assessments for the right-of-way work that was approved back in April. So there'll be 2, but right now we're asking just for the non-right-of-way work that was done on Park Row and a few extra properties that were done throughout the city. And then we have some miscellaneous charges for lawn mowing, snow removal, and a private sewer or private water service that will be assessed to property owners. And those do not have waivers that are signed, but those are normal ones that we do anyway. The total amount of assessments for non-right-of-way work with waivers signed is $147,992.55. The lawn mowing, snow removal, and private water line, that total is $5,469.33. So total we are asking for tonight is $153,646.88 to be assessed. So we are asking you to approve a resolution to prepare assessments for project and miscellaneous assessments, and the listing is on page 64.
Thank you, Sally. Todd.
Mayor and members, just to remind you and anybody that might be watching, the vast majority of this is assessment through an agreement, so these are not necessarily delinquent. There are some here that are, where they were ordered or we were forced to either mow or shovel for them, do those type of things, but the rest of them are through agreement with the property owners. And it's an opportunity not only for the city, but for the property owners to find ways to improve that property through a process that the council has had long established.
Thanks, Todd. Questions for Todd or for Sally? Hearing nothing, the resolution declaring unpaid charges to be assessed and ordering preparation of proposed assessment of miscellaneous charges is on page 66 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Webb.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfeld.
Aye.
Councilmember Sherrod.
Aye.
Resolution is approved. Anything further before we move on to the next resolution?
No, it's the same thing with the public hearing, and that will be on the 27th again. It'll be published in the St. Peter Herald for
Question.
2 weeks.
Any questions? Hearing nothing, the resolution calling for public hearing on assessment of miscellaneous charges is on page 67 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfeld.
Aye.
Councilmember Sherrod.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramey.
Aye.
The resolution is approved.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Sally.
much, Sally.
Sally.
All right, we are going to move on to adoption of resolutions approving requests for economic development loans for Forever Plaid LLC, and Ben is back to tell us about that.
All right, Forever Plaid, their team is made up of 4 local investors, and they have experience, as you can see on page 68 there in the memo, of constructing and improving buildings along the along St. Peter's south side, along Minnesota Avenue in particular. So this group is actually just purchased in late September the Four Seasons Mall property at 208 and 212 South Minnesota Avenue. And the group intends to renovate the exterior for longevity and to maintain the vibrancy of downtown corridor and economic viability of the building. Forever Plaid understands that parts of the building are significantly deteriorated and may need to be addressed promptly. So over the years, even since the tornado, the city's building department and HBC have tried to work with previous owners on getting that, especially that south wall, put back together, restored, renovated. However, that wall and a lot of the building still remains in disrepair. So we're really excited about this this new ownership group and the potential to renovate this property. This property was actually awarded a Main Street Economic Revitalization Grant. This is through DEED, and Greater Mankato Growth, and Region 9 actually helps determine some of the awardees, and that was for $39,000. So on page 69, you can see the improvements that they're looking to do. So there's some exterior improvements, which everybody will notice once they get going on that project. And then there'll also be quite a bit of interior work going on as tenants move in and out. They'll be able to remodel some of those commercial and residential spaces in there. So that total project cost is $535,000. And then you can see in the middle of page 69 how they look to finance that. And that would be through 3 different loans / grants through the city, through their bank, through the grant, and then their own contribution. So Forever Plaid's request of renovating and improving this building are eligible through both the RLF and CBD renovation grants. And they do work just a little bit differently. So the revolving loan, of course, is our standard loan. And that would be for $50,000, and that money would come to them before the project is started. And then since there's 2 different addresses, they were allowed to do 2 CBD renovation loans, and those would both be for $25,000 each, and that gets paid out once the project is completed. The nice caveat on those 2 is if they make their payments on time, they actually get potentially $5,000 of forgiveness at the end. So that is a nice incentive to get some renovation work going on that building. So on October 26th, the EDA did recommend approval of these 3 loans, and then on October 24th, the HPC looked at this and approved the exterior improvements. So attached are 3 resolutions, 2 for the CBD renovation, and then the regular revolving loan fund grant revolving loan fund of $50,000.
And for folks watching at home, CBD is Central Business District.
Yes.
Just like to put that out there. Are there questions for Ben, Dustin?
I was going to make a comment on behalf of the HPC. As a council, we reviewed this building a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and it hasn't really come back to us in a workshop because we haven't been able to get anything done. So we are super excited of the sale of this property and a group coming in that's going to preserve the building and invest the money we've been trying to get someone to do in our downtown.
Emily?
I was just gonna say, even back to my time on HPC, starting in 2019, this building was talked about, and so it's really great to see this progress, and I'm excited for the outcome and the work to be done. So thank you, Ben and HPC, for your work on this.
Brad?
So yeah, I'm really excited about this, just for what it's going to do for our downtown. We've got a group that has a history of success, so it's not like we're wondering who's actually buying this and whether they can pull it off. One thing I was excited about also was not from an exterior, from an interior perspective. What they talk about, what they've done with their previous properties for tenants is they'll renovate an empty apartment, then they'll actually offer it up to one of their existing tenants to move into. And then they'll renovate the next one. So the existing tenants won't necessarily be left out in the cold as far as living in an old apartment. They may have the opportunity to move into an updated apartment as well. So I think there's not even both from an exterior perspective, but the inside of this is going to be well taken care of as well. So
Thanks. Carrie?
Yeah, I think on the EDA, we did have a lot of discussion about what would happen to the tenants, and they answered our questions and, you know, calmed any concerns that we had. Just, I think when you think about how the exterior building has been cared for, I think there's a lot of concern about what the interior looks like, and I haven't been up there, so I can only assume. But yeah, there's a lot of sorting out, just like whose lease is what, and it's kind of a mess, but they seem like a really great group, and they've done projects here and in other places in the region, and it's just great to have that group want to continue to invest in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Any further discussion or questions on this? We will dive right into our first resolution, which is a resolution approving a revolving loan in the amount of $50,000 to Forever Plaid LLC to partially finance renovation improvements at the Four Seasons Mall, 208 and 212 South Minnesota Avenue. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Mayor Noel?
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos?
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat?
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamb?
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis?
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Anything before we move on to the next resolution, Ben? All right, the resolution approving a central business district renovation loan in the amount of $25,000 to Forever Plaid LLC to partially finance renovation improvements at 208 South Minnesota Avenue, that's Four Seasons Mall North, is on pages 73 and 74 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Noel?
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos?
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat?
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamb?
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
The resolution is approved. And our last resolution of the evening is a resolution approving a central business district renovation loan in the amount of $25,000 to Forever Plaid LLC to partially finance renovation improvements at 212 South Minnesota Avenue, the Four Seasons Mall South. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember DeVos?
Aye.
Councilmember Bruflat?
Aye.
Councilmember Sharpston?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamb?
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Mayor Noel?
Aye. The resolution is approved. Thanks very much, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
That concludes our action items for tonight. We will move on to reports. I have just one report, which is to announce some videos that are coming. They're a collaboration between Gustavus City, County, and Todd actually has more information on that, so I'll kick it off to him.
So mayor members, you may recall a partnership with the partners that the mayor articulated in doing videos that were multi-language on lots of things that are important to everyone within our community, including us. Things like, how do you get license tabs renewed for your car with the county? How do you sign up for utility? How do you pay your utility bill? How do you maybe register to do something else? So a series of videos has been put together, and it's taken quite a while to get that done, but they're starting to come online. And the home for these will be on your City of St. Peter YouTube channel. And so our next step in this is to promote it within all of our communities and different language speakers within St. Peter, and hopefully it will provide some assistance in being able to navigate these really important needs that we all have within St. Peter. So Martin Lang, who's professor at Gustavus, has been very involved in this, as were a number of students in his classes, and Nicollet County and your staff, Sally and Ben and Pete and their teams were involved, and Tony was involved in doing editing and some of the graphics and making sure things were put together. So it's not all done quite yet, but the first videos are starting to come up, and over the next week or two they'll all come online. And so I'll make sure to send a link to you, but you probably all have a link to the city's YouTube channel where you can catch them. And it's just a great move forward, and it's something that's really been promoted through your community conversation program. So it's one of those things that, as you looked forward and you wanted to see things happen, this is one of those things that's been able to come to fruition.
Well, I obviously haven't seen these ones. They're not released yet, but I know the ones that they had done previously were really well done. I would say very high quality videos, and specific to St. Peter, because you know, you could easily just do something that's really generic, like these are tabs.
Yeah.
But to have things that are sort of specific to our community, I think is really helpful. So I'm excited to see those.
Yeah, and we'll hope for Tony's sake that there's an Emmy in the works for any of these from YouTube. We'll hope for that for sure.
Thanks, Todd.
Yep, thank you.
Any reports from council members tonight? Carrie?
I will be in Wilmer for the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Fall Conference, and so that's where we talk about what's upcoming in the legislative session, and also vote on the policy committee positions that came forward from those individual committees. Councilmember Bruflat serves on the Environmental and Energy Committee. Environmental committee, and I served on the Economic Development Committee. And so it's bringing all those policies together, and then the any of the members who are there at the meeting vote on those policy positions. So they go through a lot of conversation, revisions, and draft till they get to that point, and then you know, we'll see if there's additional revisions. But I can report on that at the next meeting. But I will be there this week, and then I wanted to share that I was voted in as chair on the Regional Economic Development Alliance this last week. Time has flown. Maybe it was a week. Yeah, no, the week before. It's after the election. I can't keep track. But anyway, so I'll keep a seat on the Greater Mankato Growth Board, and then also as vice chair, because I filled the vice chair role for the last 2 years. The mayor of Lake Crystal will be filling that role. So we have these, I guess, outside of Mankato. North Mankato sort of representation on this Regional Economic Development Alliance, and that's just great. So I'm really excited to move into that role. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. That's very exciting for us.
Congratulations, Carrie.
And should be exciting for residents of St. Peter. So thanks for all you do. Emily.
Just a really quick thing. There's an event happening here at the community center on this Thursday night at 7 out in, I think, Gym A. And it's an event that is sponsored in part by our local chapter of Interfaith Power and Light. And it's an opportunity for citizens to just come and learn a little bit more about the Inflation Reduction Act and how, you know, you can access some of the great benefits that are a part of that program. And we'll talk about city benefits or city incentives and all these ways to, you know, save money and make the environment, you know, make those environmentally positive choices as citizens and homeowners and even business owners, I think, too. So come on down and learn something about the IRA.
That's this Thursday.
This Thursday at 7 o'clock.
All right. Thanks, Emily. Any other reports? Then we'll move it on to reports from the city administrator.
Mayor, members, I have 3 things that I'd like to mention, although only 2 of them are mine. One, I'd like to have Pete talk about and just give a little update on leaf collection, because we always have a lot of people that call and say, oh, they already went by my house, and now the weather's going to be nice, and what are you going to do about that? Well, we're not hoping for snow, but what we will do related to leaves, Pete, is...
We have been by everybody's house once already. We're going to continue to try to pick up leaves. We're about 120 hours in the leaf collection, and usually it takes a little over 200 hours of man time to accomplish leaf collection throughout town. Now that's if the leaves cooperate, and as you guys remember, August was dry, we started to have leaves fall, then we got a bunch of rain and they stayed home. Then we started to get some more leaf fall, then we got some wind, and now the leaves are back. And so we're just chasing everything around, trying to get that going. But our goal would be to go as long as we have to try to get the leaves collected. Usually that's around Thanksgiving. We've been fortunate the last few years to be done on that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, kind of button things up. Don't know if that'll happen, don't know if the weather will continue, but we're going to try to keep going as long as we can.
And we want to mention that if we don't get around, or if you have one of those stubborn trees that isn't losing their leaves until, well, when we have to stop or the weather won't cooperate in us doing it, you can always take your leaves and your brush
Correct.
down to the compost site, which is located at Swift and St. Julian.
Correct, thank you.
You thought of just vacuum the tree itself?
Yeah,
Just go
need
right
a
to the
shaker or
source?
whatever.
Yeah.
Not yet.
All right, thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
2 other items that I have in association, Madam Mayor, with the thanks that you gave for candidates, and really it's wonderful that people file and are interested in serving that way. I want to make sure that we thank Barb and the head election judges and all of our election judges. They serve such an important role, and it's going to continue to be important as we get into even bigger elections in the 2024 year. So thanks for all the election judges for what they do. They go through a large amount of training, and it's a long day, and there's a lot of work, and there's a lot of rules to know and remember and to help people. And frankly, sometimes people aren't as cooperative as they could be at the polling places. And so we want to thank those election judges and thank everyone who got out and voted. We were about on par with our normal percentage of voters versus registered voters, which was in the mid-20s, and that's kind of typically where we're at for what we call an odd year election. The last one that I also have is to mention that we have an MRVT meeting tomorrow at 2:30. Those meetings this year in the 2023 year are held in LeSueur. Next year they'll be in St. Peter. We go every other year. So if you're interested in catching a ride, please let me know. We typically leave St. Peter about 2 o'clock for a 2:30 meeting in LeSueur. So for those of you who don't know what MRVT is, it's Minnesota River Valley Transit. So it's the transit system that we operate both in St. Peter and LeSueur. Madam Mayor, that's all I have.
All right, well, thanks so much. Last call for reports. Hearing nothing, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
You didn't know, you probably didn't